the war with Iran has entered its third month. And while a shaky ceasefire holds, diplomatic efforts between the U.S. and Iran look like they're at an impasse. Last night, President Trump posted on Truth Social that he would soon be reviewing the new peace proposal sent by Iran, but that he could not, quote, imagine that it would be acceptable in that they have not yet paid a big enough price for what they have done to humanity and the world over the last 47 years, unquote. The Strait of Hormuz remains a central flashpoint in the conflict, with both sides blockading the crucial trade route, choking the global economy as the price of oil has skyrocketed. Joining me now is Anne-Marie Slaughter, who will soon step down from her role as CEO of the think tank New America and become Dean of the School of Public Policy at the London School of Economics in early 2027. And of course, retired Admiral James Stavridis, the former NATO Supreme Allied Commander. Anne-Marie, it feels like both sides are dug in. And when these things happen, usually the question is, who can bear the pain longer? What's your sense?
Yeah, this really is a game of chicken, right? Who's gonna blink first? I think the U.S. is in a really risky position because it's actually, and ironically, like Russia and Ukraine. Russia needs to win. The U.S. needs to win. Ukraine just needs not to lose. And Iran just needs not to lose. And Iran has tremendous capacity to take pain. It's got an authoritarian government. It's got a people who are now much more allied in favor of that government than they were back in January with all the protests. And it is the little guy against the big guy. This is, the U.S. has been here before, like Vietnam or Afghanistan. I really think the U.S. is more likely to blink first than Iran.
And to add to that, like Russia, Ukraine, for the little guy, it's existential.
Exactly.
For the superpower, it's one of many things
exactly.
going on. Jim, when you look at the naval blockade, how easy is it for the United States to keep this going indefinitely? How is there a path for Iran to get some of its oil out? There've been talk about hugging the coastline and getting the oil out that way. What is your sense?
I've sailed the Strait of Hormuz close to 100 times as a sea captain, and I have participated in several blockades around the world. My conclusion is blockades are inherently very difficult to maintain. This is 1,000 miles plus of coastline that we're blockading. It's an act of war, by the way. And there's always going to be leakage. Think the movie Gone with the Wind, Rhett Butler showing up with beautiful cigars and silk scarves from Paris through the Lincoln blockade of the American South. Having said all that, I agree with my good friend Anne-Marie. Congratulations on the LSC, by the way. And I would simply add, I think in the White House, they are now starting to look at additional military options because this tale of two blockades is going to be difficult to sustain. So to conclude, Fareed, I think the president's looking at probably a package of three different military options. One, go after more leadership, try and take out some of the intransigent members of the Revolutionary Guard. Number two, perhaps go after the oil infrastructure, quite risky, could lead to retaliation. And third, let's call it strategic preparation of the Strait of Hormuz in case you have to open it militarily, which may be the next move on the chessboard.
And if this negotiation gets going, it feels like the key issues are, Strait of Hormuz has to be opened, what to do about the enriched fuel, and then the length of the suspension, where Iran agrees not to suspend. It feels to me like all Trump is looking for is a deal that he can say is better than Obama's nuclear deal.
I think that's right, but I think that's going to be incredibly hard to do because honestly, had we kept Obama's deal, we would not be in this situation. And it's very easy also for Iran to just slow walk things and divide the issues so that the Strait of Hormuz issue is one, then they want to do nuclear talks later. it's going to be hard for Trump to get to a place where he can say, I achieved my objectives. And that's in part also because his objectives keep shifting. He says it's about the nuclear energy, right. But he also just said it's originally about getting the Iranians to overthrow their government, which
and
is
now
not
he
going to
says
work.
It's about 47 years, which of course Iran's nuclear program is not 47 years old. On Friday, the Pentagon announced that it would withdraw roughly 5,000 U.S. troops from Germany. The decision comes after President Trump's recent public clashes with the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz over the German leader's criticism of the U.S. war with Iran. Trump has warned that this could be just the start of troop withdrawals from the long-standing American ally. The announcement has drawn criticism from both sides of the political aisle. Anne-Marie, talk about this, the state of U.S.-European relations. Just when you think it can't get any worse, it does. How significant is this? Is it just symbolic that the U.S. is withdrawing these troops?
It's retribution for personal diplomacy. And honestly, I think Chancellor Merz's perception of the president being humiliated in the Iranian war is accurate globally. This is cutting off our nose to spite our face yet again. Our troops in Germany are hugely important for U.S. power projection. And you hear that whenever wounded Americans are flown back. They're flown to Ramstein in Germany. That's a very important base. But also, we not only run our European operations and everything in Ukraine from Germany, we also run our African operations. AFRICOM is headquartered in Germany. So it's 5,000 troops is symbolic, but to the extent this is going to be the administration's reaction to Europeans not liking what he's doing, we're hurting ourselves more than anything else.
And it's unusual. I mean, the Europeans criticized the Vietnam War, the French criticized the Iraq War. We've usually viewed this as among democracies, you're allowed to criticize each other every now and then.
Yeah, in 1982, the U.S. approval rating in Germany was 4% because of the fight over the intermediate nuclear forces deployment. But what's different this time is you're seeing Britain and France mobilize 40 to 50 countries on a plan to open the Straits of Hormuz and guarantee shipping after there is a lasting ceasefire. Now, they don't have the power to force that ceasefire, but you're actually seeing the 50 countries, and again, Europe in the lead, acting as neutrals in a war between the U.S., Israel on one side and Iran on the other. That's not the indispensable nation anymore.
Jim, as a former Supreme Allied Commander in Europe, what is your reaction to this announcement to withdraw troops?
I'm tracking Anne-Marie. I'm going to broaden the argument and say, there are other critical bases in Spain, for example. We have many guided missile destroyers based in Italy. Our rapid reaction infantry is there in Poland. We shouldn't rattle this one because, we have a lot of troops there, total 100,000. So you're right, Marie's right. It's symbolic, but it could easily broaden and it could also generate kind of a whiplash from other European countries. And finally, in one sense, this may cause Europe to pull together, but they may start pulling in a different direction from the United States, working more with China, working more with India and other countries. So we're going to potentially pay not only a military price here, but an economic and diplomatic one as well.
Yeah, the idea of encouraging Germany to become the strongest military power on the continent of Europe strikes me as something that lacks a certain historical memory. Jim, you have this terrific new book out. You've been putting out these series of books on, the future of war. Now you're up to the end of the 21st century. So tell us, when you look at what's going on in the Middle East with Iran, what part of this is early premonitions of what the future of war is going to look like?
Let's add Ukraine to it. So if you look at the military operations in both Ukraine and the Middle East, one word pops into your mind: drones. So unmanned, huge part of this. But what's coming, which has not arrived as yet, are lasers, which could change the balance of power between missiles and defenses. It is higher end cyber, perhaps the result of quantum computing coming very soon. It's potentially biotech. Think human performance enhancement. And finally, it's new forms of energy, perhaps fusion energy to the battlefield, all overseen by artificial intelligence. Just to conclude, the novel also looks at two immutable things in war. One is human character, and the other is geography. Those are still with us, but the technologies are shifting rapidly. That's what 2084 ultimately is about, the fusion of those three things.